And on Harvard, if you don't mind, the administration today formally accused Harvard of violating civil rights laws by not doing enough to fight anti-Semitism. We know that the president has talked to us before about Harvard potentially having a deal with the administration in the coming days. Do you have an updated timeline for that? How's the negotiations going? And is more pressure needed for Harvard to take fighting anti-Semitism seriously?
Well, there was quite a direct letter that was sent to Harvard this morning, as you know. The negotiations are taking place behind closed doors, so I won't comment on that. But what I will share with all of you, for those who haven't seen it, is the context of this letter, because I think it's very important. And this comes from the Department of Health and Human Services, which concluded after a thorough investigation that Harvard University is in a violent violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. And if you read some of the content of the investigation and what they found, the majority of Jewish students reportedly experienced negative bias or discrimination on their campus, while a quarter of Jewish students at Harvard felt physically unsafe. Jewish and Israeli students were assaulted and spit on. They hid their kippahs for fear of being harassed and concealed their Jewish identity from classmates for fear of ostracization. Images were widely circulated amongst the Harvard community that trafficked in obvious anti-Semitic tropes, including one that showed a dollar sign inside of a Star of David, and the campus was vandalized with anti-Semitic stickers, including one that showed the Israeli flag with a swastika. The Harvard campus was racked by demonstrations, as you all know, violent protests that violated the university's rules of conduct.
Karoline Leavitt, the current White House press secretary under President Trump's second administration, recently delivered a harsh warning to Harvard University that has stirred significant controversy. In a fiery appearance on Fox News, Leavitt declared that the federal government is considering stripping Harvard of its funding and contracts, citing the university's alleged ideological bias and what she called a failure to uphold American values. She criticized the institution for prioritizing programs like LGBTQ graduate studies over more practical skill-based training, such as electricians and plumbers, arguing that the nation urgently needs a stronger focus on vocational education. Leavitt went further to accuse Harvard of tolerating anti-Semitic behavior on campus in the wake of pro-Palestinian protests, suggesting that the university must publicly apologize and align with federal standards, or face severe consequences, including the loss of its tax-exempt status. The Trump administration has already frozen over $2.3 billion in federal funding and contracts to Harvard and is exploring legal avenues to redirect that money toward trade schools and apprenticeship programs. This warning reflects a broader political effort by the administration to reshape higher education, rewarding institutions that promote traditional values and practical skills, while penalizing elite universities perceived as ideological or unpatriotic. Leavitt's remarks have drawn backlash, with critics accusing her of promoting anti-intellectualism and targeting marginalized groups, while supporters see it as a bold move to bring accountability to powerful academic institutions. The standoff between Harvard and the federal government now represents a pivotal moment in the culture war over education, values, and public funding in America.